And
Mhm.
yeah, I was thinking that, I just get the photo booth and just go to work. I didn't know. It was just all, I had to download all this and
Mhm.
webinars. I'm just thinking you just jump on it and spin.
Lights and battery packs and
Everything.
everything.
I know about that, sharing stations and cameras.
Yep. Well, I guess we better mute ourselves out since it's not our Zoom.
Okay.
He'll let us talk. If DJ1 is doing it, he's a great presenter, so we'll have a good class. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too. And hold on, by the way, what is your name?
Tazania.
Tanya?
No, Tazania, like lasagna with a T, Tazania.
Oh yeah, Tazania. I'm Jillian.
Jillian, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Can you guys hear my audio okay?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. We're about to get started. Give me a couple minutes. I'm just kind of prepping my panel here. Let me see how many people are on the call right now. Give me a sec. Yeah, we got 34. Wow, it's the first time we have 34 that are pretty punctual, or 35 that are punctual. Usually we have a low number to begin with, and we end up with a high number. Again, my name is DJ1. Nice to meet everybody. I do the webinars here weekly every Wednesday. We're gonna switch up the format just a tad bit. I'll explain to you what the previous format was. I'll ask you guys what you guys want to learn the most. But I think the way we're gonna be moving forward with these webinars, they tend to be fairly long. Typically, a webinar lasts about, every single one for the last 2 months has gone over like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I value you guys' time and effort, but I think the way we're going to start doing these webinars now so they can be conducive to your time and energy is we're going to segment them. We're going to do segments of each webinar. That way, if there's, points of reference that you guys need to come back to, we can say, go see webinar 1 or webinar 2 or webinar 3. That way you're not going through the entire video that's over 2.5 hours long, trying to find that what location was I talking about sharing stations, or what location was I talking about GoPros and things of that nature. For the people that are on this call now, I want to take a quick poll as far as, what are you guys planning on using? Are you guys planning on using an iPhone as your video recording device, or a GoPro? If you guys can use the chat bar, that'd be great. It gives me a good indication of how many people are using what, and I can probably segue and start with a specific device that people are trying to use the most. So if you could open up your chat bar below. Okay.
Chat bar.
Somebody typed in DSLR. I don't know if it was a joke or not, but DSLR, yeah, TouchPix is not yet compatible with DSLR cameras.
Yeah, I got GoPro.
All right, looks like
I don't see a chat bar.
Yeah, so it's down in your screen where it says more. If you open up the more tab, you should see the chat box option.
Okay.
These videos are recorded, by the way. They're recorded based on the fact that I do upload these videos onto a YouTube platform.
I'm gonna throw my wig on. Sorry, man. Just joking.
They're uploaded for a YouTube platform. That way you guys can revert to them in the event that you need a refresher of some sort, or you just want to be able to go back and view certain topics that we're going to discuss. Let me adjust something here.
Great. That's great. Awesome.
Let me see here. I'm adjusting a couple more things and then we'll get started. Okay, let me see. No, it's not the type that I wanted. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I see a lot of iPhones. Looks like I see more iPhones than GoPro. I will definitely explain the GoPro process, but it looks like for today's class, I'm going to stick with an iPhone. Before I move on to that, I'm going to show you something real quick. Trying to open up this screen share portion of it. For you GoPro users, that's going to be beneficial for you guys. I'm going to start showing my screen shortly. That way you guys can see the link. I'm actually going to put in the link on the chat bar, right? Give me 1 sec. Let me see.
I have a quick question while
Sure.
the list is going up. I see some iPads there. Is it interchangeable, like the version type of iPad, or is it like the latest stuff we're supposed to use?
Yeah, so I'm going to start off with the beginning for the iPads. Definitely. I mean, you are able to use iPads. Do I recommend using iPads as a recording device? The answer to that question is going to be a no, a negative. We use iPads primarily, we'll recommend them for sharing station. The reason why I don't recommend iPads is because most iPads are not equipped with the ultra wide camera lens, right? I think iPad Pro 11, I think the newest iPad Pro 12.9 are the ones that have that specific feature. Also, being in the industry for over 2 years and using different devices, you're going to get a time where your iPad or iPhone is going to fall or somebody's going to knock it off the arm. Chances of that iPad screen surviving is very minimal, and it's going to probably get you super upset because if you're spending $1,000 on an iPad and somebody breaks it, you know, it's not considered optimal for this. I will recommend an iPhone 11. I will recommend an iPhone 12. I'll recommend, let me see if I can copy this real quick. I'll recommend iPhone 13 for your recording devices. Although you can use an iPad, and it's going to differ from model to model because, like I said, most of them are just not equipped with the proper camera. You know, you're gonna have some differences, some key differences, specifically relating to your output. If you want optimal output, definitely go for the iPhone 11, 12, 13, or GoPro 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 Black. Any of those editions, but the Black edition, because they records at the high frame rate of 120 frames per second. If you guys look at the chat bar for specifically for the GoPro users, I posted a link, a YouTube link that was uploaded today by our developer. It's going to specifically walk you through how to connect your GoPro to the TouchPix app. So it's a small little video. We're going to be doing small little segmented videos, like I said, like I explained earlier, just easier for people to navigate to in the event that you need some troubleshooting tips or refreshers. Not trying to make my videos too long. So we'll definitely do that. You will have access to a support email address, which I'm also typing in the chat bar now. It's support@touchpix.com. We are now operating 6 days a week, but we were closed on, what is it, Mondays and Tuesdays. We're beefing up our staff, and right now you can reach us Central Standard Times from, you'll be able to reach us Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We are off Sunday. Thank God we're off Sunday. You know, we need a day off. So definitely you'll reach us between the hours of 10 a.m., 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Okay. 10 a.m., 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And the number, the support number, it's a toll-free number. I'm going to type it in the chat box as well.
I have a question. Where can we go and find your videos at, the ones that are hours long?
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and link you to that YouTube page as well. I've been linking the most recent ones. I tend to take off some of the older ones as the app progresses. We're implementing new ways of doing things, so I don't want to confuse people. But if you want a specific video, you can always email our support. We'll send you a specific video, but let me tag you to the page as well. I'm going to go ahead and go there now. Let me see. Is there a specific one that you wanted to see, or iPhone, maybe, or GoPro?
So yeah, no, I'm on an iPhone, but however, we went in to try to use the software this weekend, and this is our first time, and we couldn't figure out how to get the how to drag like pictures on there and how to put text and stuff on there. It doesn't say that you have to make the box, enlarge the box in order to, on the TouchPix video on YouTube, it doesn't say that. But in order to add the text, we had to enlarge the box, which it took us like an hour to figure that out.
Okay.
So
yeah,
just
I mean,
things like that.
For those types of things as well, what I'm going to recommend is reach out to the support if we are closed, like if it's a Sunday and we're closed. You know, we do have a Facebook group. I'm also going to post a Facebook group here on the chat. And I want you guys to take full advantage of all the resources. I just posted the YouTube channel that which they're posted onto. I actually linked 2 videos you guys can take a look at. One of them is for the iPhone and one of them is for the GoPro. That way you guys can cross-reference with what we're going to cover today. It looks like today's class, we are going to focus more so on the iPhone based on the responses, but I will definitely show you guys how to use the features are all the same, whether you're using an iPhone or a GoPro, right? The only difference is in actually, it's making that connection to that specific device. And, you know, I will walk you guys through those types of features. Let me share the group here. I'm going to go ahead and link you guys to this group as well. It's called the TouchPix user group. I'm looking for the shareable link here. Let me see here. Okay, here it is. The link on the TouchPix user group. Here we go. I'm also going to link it on the chat bar. Oops, that's not the link. Okay.
And also, what if you missed your 7-day free trial? Is there a way that I can retrieve that back?
A 7-day free trial? What do you mean by missing it?
Well, I was told that I guess it expired. Like it expires because I've never set it up. So someone told me it, because I'm just new to this, and they told me that it had expired and to ask you.
Okay. We can definitely set you up with a 7-day free trial if it indeed has expired. Give me one sec here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we can definitely set you up with a 7-day free trial. The 7-day free trial, I would recommend you send out a request to support at touchpix.com.
Okay, support at
right.
touchpix.com.
They can set you up with a 7-day free trial. I just posted the Facebook group on the chat. I posted prior YouTube videos in the event that you guys want a refresher on that. And we're about to get started. And here we go. Let me see. Let me share my screen real quick. Are you guys able to see my screen fine? Yeah.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
So I'm going to show you a couple of tips. Okay, so getting started with TouchPix. Okay, there's some intricacies and some important parts before actually getting to use the software. There's a lot of misconceptions with it being an app. People assume that it is like plug and play, like it does everything for you and it takes no effort to setting things up. So that's a common misconception. Yes, it's an app. TouchPix is probably one of the easiest apps to use for 360 software. It's catered to your needs. It's pretty powerful in the sense that it does a lot of special effects. It adds effects, but it is your responsibility as an end user to practice for optimum results. Let me see here. Give me a sec. Somebody's open mic. I'm gonna mute the mic. Give me a sec. Okay. So with that being said, it's an easy app to use. It is user friendly in that extent, but I also understand that a lot of you on the call are brand new to TouchPix. Before we get started with TouchPix, I'm gonna make sure and try to highlight some key notes that I'm gonna have you walk away from this training with. One of the key notes is I'm gonna recommend that once you use TouchPix, you use it from a computer desktop, right? Such as this. I'm using a desktop currently. And I recommend that if you're using a computer desktop, you actually develop a folder, right? You develop a folder called TouchPix files, right? And in this folder of TouchPix files, you're actually gonna have artwork, your logos maybe. Maybe I'm gonna pretend, let me see where I can go and find some of my logos here. This is probably the wrong file to show you. Let me see. This is probably one of my support folders that I've recently made, but let me see if I'm able to show you. Let's pretend this logo here, this Instagram logo is my logo. And if I have a logo, I'm going to go ahead and dump it into this TouchPix folder. I'm actually, for the purposes of this, I'll create a new folder to show you guys how to do it. You're going to right click on your PC, or if you're using a Mac, you can go to File, New Folder. I'm going to call this TouchPix Related, right? And in this folder, oh, I already have something called TouchPix Related. So I'm going to call it TouchPix 2. Just something that I'll identify it to. So TouchPix 2, right? And in this folder, I'm going to drop a logo file. I'm going to drop some pre-designed overlays. I'll show you how to design one briefly. I'm going to drop maybe, let me see, I'll use this TouchPix logo as well.
Can you use any laptop? I mean, like a HP. I have a new HP laptop. Would this be compatible? I mean, would this work with this system?
So you can use any laptop that is Windows or Mac OS. As long as it's not a Chromebook, I would say you are safe to use those specific files, right? As long as it's not a Chromebook. Chromebooks are basically an oversized Android. So as long as you're not using a Chromebook, I think you'll be fine. So I'm going to show you a couple things.
So I'm sorry. So can you use the HP for sharing or no?
No,
That's just for creating.
No, this is
Okay.
just for creating an event. So let me back up now. I'm going to go to this folder called TouchPix. I dropped my business logo. I dropped a artwork that maybe somebody's going to either design or somebody's going to use. And I dropped an MP3 music file. We'll get to the MP3 part when I walk you through. But if you make yourself a folder and you drop your logos and all your files before you create the event, it'll make life easier because you're going to know where they're at. You're not going to be digging around your computer trying to find out where things are at. The second tip I'm going to provide you guys is let me see. Second tip would be, I'm going to open a new window. And second tip, you can do this from your computer, and you can also do this from any iPhone, is go to a website called speedtest.net. iPhones have a app in the App Store that'll say it's speed test. I think the app on the iPhone is called Ookla by, it's OOKLA. And what this does, it's gonna give you an idea of your Wi-Fi speed wherever it is that you're located. Some people say, well, I have Wi-Fi built into my phone. That's great, right? But the phone or the Wi-Fi is dependent on the cellular service that you have. So I'm sure that many of you guys have done events where you're in the boondocks and you're only getting 1 bar of service. Well, if you're only getting 1 bar of service, it means that your text messages, emails, and things of that nature that get sent out are either going to send out real slow, or they're not going to send out at all based on the requirements of TouchPix, right? So when you go to speed test, I'm going to go ahead and do a speed test of my current internet. That way I kind of, this is just an example. If you get to your event, log into speedtest.net via your phone, log into the Wi-Fi that you're using, and then just click on the button that says go, right? What it's going to do, it's going to test your download speed first, and your download speed, depending on your area or your service, I'm not sure what that's going to be, right? Mine seems to be pretty high, but TouchPix is not really focused, or it doesn't really work on download speed, right? TouchPix is a cloud service app that needs to upload all its content to the web server. Therefore, this second speed that it does after the download is the most important speed that you're going to look after. I'm getting speeds of 21, right? In order for TouchPix to work successfully, I'm going to recommend that this speed needs to be at a minimum of 7. Your upload speed needs to be at a minimum of 7. If you get anything less than a 7, you are going to struggle with the content being delivered. It doesn't mean that it cannot be delivered. It just means that you're going to struggle with delivering the content timely. People can still type in their phone number. People can still type in their email address. If your internet is non-existent or you have low speeds, what TouchPix does, it's called a queue system. It actually queues up all these numbers, and it'll wait until you have a good, reliable internet connection. Then then they'll start sending out automatically in the order that they came in. I will show you an example of that once we set up an event, but just for your purposes, I wanted to equip you with these tools. That way you could understand exactly how this software works, okay? So now I'm going back to the TouchPix webpage here. I'm going to explain a couple procedures here, and I'm going to go over some of these tabs. I'm going to start with pricing. We offer a weekly subscription, monthly subscription, and a yearly subscription. The key word to note is this is a subscription-based app. It's no different than Spotify, Netflix, apps that you pay a monthly charge. It is your responsibility to turn that off and on. We get numerous calls on the weekend saying, you guys have charged me X amount of dollars and I haven't used the app. Well, I'm trying to educate everybody on the webinar that it is your responsibility, because we don't have access to your device. In fact, TouchPix does not handle any of the financial aspects of the app. Everything is dealt through the Apple App Store on your phone, right? And I will show you with this webinar how to access your TouchPix app and how to turn it off and turn it on when you want to use it and when you don't want to use it. So it's very important that you guys pay attention to that. The weekly again is $50, the monthly is $140, the yearly is $9.99. Obviously, you can see there's a little bit of more benefits if you sign up with the monthly or yearly, but we also understand that there's a lot of beginners. There's a lot of people that are new to the industry. They may not have secured the bookings to be able to afford a monthly or a yearly package. They might be doing a weekly booking by booking type of basis, right? So if you don't have that many clients, if you haven't secured bookings, weekly might make sense for you. What I'm here to tell you though is, although this is a cost, I would definitely encourage that your pricing point be somewhere where you are going to not only make profit, but your subscription is included in that rental fee. This should never be an out-of-pocket cost. And I think a lot of people make that mistake initially when they come on board and they're saying, well, I'm paying X amount of dollars for the subscription, then I'm have to pay this other person to make my overlays if you're not proficient enough to work with Canva or Photoshop, and things quickly add up. So it's part of owning a business, part of your expenditures. So make sure that you're budgeting correctly and you're charging accordingly. I know people are across the US are charging different rates, right? It's really up to you to do your own market research and see what's gonna be feasible for you. You know, what amount of money or what's it gonna take for you to be out of the red and be in the green. So there's prices all across the board, but at the end of the day, you're gonna know what that's gonna look like, okay? So this is the pricing page. If you go over to the shop page, there's gonna be some stuff that we sell. This is optional. You do not need to buy any of this stuff, but I'm gonna explain to you what it is. The optional sparkles, lights, and confetti, it's a specific animated effects that we have already pre-made for you. Typically, people like the confetti look, where the confetti flies out of the bottom or the side or the top. All of this is pre-formatted to fit any of our templates. There's literally, you know, there's a lot to choose from, different color confetti, gold, silver, multicolor, things of that nature that you can play around with. It is a one-time fee. You're gonna figure that out. You can use this at any point. Doesn't really matter when you use it. You don't have to buy it again. You don't even need to buy it in the first place. It's an optional feature that will allow you to kind of add an extra element of kind of a wow factor to your output, right? So it's something for you guys to consider. And again, it's strictly optional. We have this trigger box here for people that are using motorized spinners. This trigger box is essentially a relay that you wire to your platform that allows TouchPix to control the arm. So as soon as you hit the record button, TouchPix starts the arm automatically, and then it'll stop it after the recording is stopped. It makes it kind of like a seamless process where you're no longer having to deal with TouchPix and a separate remote to start your spinner. Again, this is only for motorized spinners. The third option here is what's called a white label subscription. The white label subscription, what this means, and the difference between this one and the $1,000 one, is this one's called white label. White label means that typically our subscription is tied to your Apple ID email address, right? And in order for you to use it on unlimited devices, all your devices have to belong to you. They have to have the same Apple ID email address. The white label subscription is not like that. It will, if you have two different devices that have different Apple IDs, it will allow you to use them both with this subscription. Again, this is the white label subscription. It does not marry your Apple ID email addresses. Does that make sense? Or does anybody have questions on that?
Yes, how you doing? So you can use multiple iPhones, multiple IDs with that.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Correct. And that's
I have one question too before you move on there, DJ. So with that white label there, that's only for that 1 year subscription. You couldn't do it on the weekly one, I take it.
No, you can do it on the monthly one and on the yearly one. I think for the weekly, we're still keeping it at business as usual.
And the white, for this cost, is it in addition to the yearly subscription, or does this replace that?
Just for the year, this yearly replaces that.
Okay.
So for $1,200, you get the full show, right? Without any limitations of being on the same Apple ID.
Okay.
Perfect. So that's.
So it's multiple people can.
So the idea for this, it's not multiple people. If we catch people trying to cheat the system, we will shut you guys down. I'm not saying that that's what you insinuated, but we've seen it being used like that before. It's for your business. The idea behind this white label is as follows. White label has been a term used in our photo booth industry for quite some time. The way white label is, or the way white label works is, if I'm a business, I'm located out of, I'm gonna throw, Texas in the mix. If I'm located out of Texas and I do a phenomenal job of advertising my business all across the nation, my job is just to book events, right? However, I'm based out of Texas. There's no way I can do jobs in California, Florida, Atlanta, any of these areas. There's actually legitimate photo booth businesses that work that way. They book nationwide. They create what's called a photo booth network. They have established relationship with photo boothers, right? They talk amongst themselves and they work out a price point where it's going to be beneficial for the person booking the event, which would be myself if I do a tremendous job of advertising, right? And people book me on demand. I then look for a partner to execute the service. We agree on the price because this is my account. I set everything up for them. I just shoot them the QR. They're the ones with the equipment. They'll run the show. And at the end of the day, I make money, they make money. This, you guys have to be very careful with this because although this is a common practice, there's a lot of trust involved. If it's my client that I booked through my platforms because I'm paying, a high price for advertising, that company that agreed to do this job for me cannot promote their own company. They need to promote my company, right? It's called that's why it's called a white label. They can't promote, they can't hand out business cards, they can't have flyers. It's an agreement that I've already established with that photo booth company. Essentially, though, it's a win-win, right? If that other company doesn't have bookings and they're available, then they're going to want to, take the event if it's feasible and if they're going to make money. Obviously, for me, I'm going to want them to do it because I'm going to make money as well off of it. So this is what the intentions of a white label is. So that white label is your account. It belongs to you. It does not mean you can cheat the system and split this 4 ways, because we do monitor the way events are being set up. And, we discourage from people trying to cheat the system, but we understand people often try to do it. At the end of the day, you're making that investment in TouchPix. Just, use it for your purposes and hopefully everything works out. But, I just wanted to throw that disclaimer out there. Hopefully that made sense for a lot of people because the photo booth industry does work that way. There's people that are based out of, New York that do events in California and vice versa. So there's money to be made. It's just how well is your advertising scheme? How well how well is your targeted marketing? That type of thing. Does that make sense for a lot of people?
Yeah. So I can't share with Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike, basically.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, you can't go.
So in a situation where you have like maybe three setups for your business, for a 360 business, like can you use the same app if you have 3 events?
Sure.
And you're renting those out, can you use it for all 3?
Sure, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. That's what it's meant for.
Okay.
Okay. So that's
Are you able to use it on 2 different machines?
Correct. Yeah. You are able to use it on 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different machines. What people are failing to realize too with TouchPix is not just a 360 app. TouchPix is an actually full-scale photo booth app. It started as a photo booth app that added 360 features, and it's known for its 360 features. But it's been a photo booth app for quite some time since it started, since its infancy. It does printing, it does GIFs, it does boomerangs, it does green screen, it does a lot of stuff. But people tend to recognize TouchPix more for a 360 based app. So whether you're an established business with 5 photo booths and maybe 1 360, you could run your 5 photo booth and the 360 all at the same time, right? It doesn't matter. You don't have any limitations. As long as that devices belong to you and the account belongs to you, you'll be able to run it.
DJ, is there any information out there that helps me understand the photo booth side of the TouchPix?
You know what? I'm working on that. We are working on that as a team. We will be releasing something soon. Just hang in there a couple more weeks. We're trying to just wrap some new stuff up, but we will be also doing quick webinars to show you and highlight some of those pieces, but definitely wanted to take the time to describe, describe this for now. The support tab here, it just, what I explained earlier, we're now open from Monday through Saturday. I know it does say Wednesday through Saturday, but we're open from Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Central, right? This is our contact number. This is how you can contact us. And this is how you can reach TouchPix with support@touchpix.com. Okay. In the event that we don't answer, there's typical days where there's just one, or sometimes there's two of us if we're lucky. But in the event that you call this line and we don't answer, don't worry about that. We will return your call before the end of the day. We tend to kind of go down our call list in the order that it was received, right? So if we don't answer during these hours, it's typically because we're talking to a different customer, trying to resolve or answer a question for them. Don't be discouraged. I do see people calling 20, 30, 40 times back to back. I'm like, whoa, we will get back to you in a timely manner.
But DJ, is it, do y'all have any special attention for the Fridays and Saturdays when people are holding events? Because that's when you hit the panic button. You try to call that number and you're in the middle of the event or on your way to an event and you find some issues. And is there any special attention that y'all do on your end to address those issues?
So what I can recommend is you call the support line, because we are operating between 27. There's really no other photo booth software provider that actually comes close to our response time or our support hours. Typically with them, you're dealing with like some type of 8 to 5 schedule, and and they're closed on weekends. So we are opening it up, 6 days a week. If you cannot reach us, then a good resource to get one of our moderators or somebody that has knowledge in our team that may be able to help you is to go into our Facebook group and post in our Facebook group what issue it is that you're experiencing. Somebody will get back to you quickly, right? Via Facebook or this number, but somebody will get back to you, right? Yeah. The only day that I can say we will probably not call you back is on Sunday, when we're officially closed on Sunday.
Yeah, y'all in church. Just say that, man.
Yeah. Serious. So yeah, so that goes to show this is kind of what TouchPix is. This is what's called our TouchPix page. So what I'm going to show you too is how to make an account. A lot of people don't know how to make an account and they get confused. I get a lot of calls because people have made 6 accounts. I don't know why there's a need for 6 different accounts, right? If you're making 6 accounts, you are going to run into issues, right? And please try to keep your accounts to 1. I understand if there's multiple accounts because you probably did something, or maybe you created an account with a different Apple ID and now you're moving everything to a separate one. But please help us help you. We get a lot of frustrated customers sometimes saying, well, I can't log into my account, or what happened to my events? I can't see my events anymore. Well, that's because they have 5, 6 different accounts. And by the time we figure it out, they're giving me the wrong account name. So, help us help you. Keep it real simple. Create 1 account if needed. So under register, put in your first name, your last name, or put in your business name for that matter. But this email address, this is very important. I'm going to recommend that in this email address, you provide the email address that's associated to your Apple ID from your device. So your Apple ID is what's on your Apple App Store. If you go to your settings tab, that is what basically makes the payments for that specific device and all the apps. So if you're going to do a change, do it now before you create an account. I recommend people have multiple Apple ID accounts, one being that it's their personal one for their personal use, for like your family photos and things of that nature, and create a business Apple ID email account for your business. Something simple like your business name, 360.com, right? Because you never want to scale up your business later and have your personal photos all of a sudden transfer over to a different iPhone or a different iPad that you're trying to send out with somebody else, right? That can get a little intrusive. So please make a business related Apple ID email account. Once you make that, come over to touchpix.com and register with your new business Apple ID email account. That way you can track it better and everything stays uniform, right? So please just be mindful of that. Make it easy for us, make it easier for yourself and being able to track your account, right? Once you create an account, you're going to log in. I'm logging into TouchPix now. And this is what's called the account dashboard. Don't mind some of these features up here on the administrative panel. This is what you're going to be paying attention to, your dashboard. If I click on my events, it'll tell me how many events I've already have, right, with TouchPix. This is how I can tell what events I've tested. This is how I can tell, you know, a lot of different events that I've had over the past. And these galleries will live in TouchPix for up to a year. So after you're done with an event, if your client wants their pictures of their gallery, all you do is come to the event that you've done. In my case, this one looks like it's finished. I'm going to tap on gallery, right? And you will see the gallery for this specific event, right? To make sure, I'm just going to show you guys a quick little video here of what one of my events looks like. No specific order. This is just my event. I'm going to show you guys a quick output video, right? This is an overlay that was designed for me. This is what it is.
Nice, nice, nice. Did you use this with an iPhone? And which 10, 11, 12? I mean, I'm sorry, 11, 12, 13 iPhone?
Yeah, so that was one of my events. I just wanted to show you briefly that that's what TouchPix does. But this is a gallery that I did back in July, right? Once you have a gallery like this, if I click on public gallery.
That picture is perfect. Like,
Right, it
just
is, right?
flawless.
So did
Yeah.
you, what phone did you have? What iPhone did you have?
I think on that one, I might have used a, I think I might have used a GoPro 7, I think. I tend to use GoPros and iPhones. You know, I don't know exactly what I use on that specific case. It's just what I have available with me at the time, because I do have a multi-op company that I send out. And I really not sure if I used a 11 or a GoPro. I think it might have been a GoPro on that specific event, and the GoPro 7. But you know, you can achieve these. These are achievable with our software. So once I hit public gallery, it gives you a link. This is what you're gonna cut and paste and give your client. Once your client has this link, you're basically giving them access to this entire gallery. They can click download with one button and they'll download everything into a zip folder. So this is really easy to deliver, right? So I'm just kind of giving you a quick overview of what that looks like. I typically don't start with that, but let me see. I might have one more that I want to show you that I know that it's an iPhone. Hopefully I can find it. I just want to know.
Quickly, what about the lighting that you're using in the background?
Yeah, I'll answer some of those questions towards the end. I want to keep it really software related, but I will answer some of those questions at the end. You know, there's different kinds of lighting, and I'll show what I recommend. But as far as specific models, I'll give you what I have available to me. Let me see if I can show you this here. So this is, ooh, okay, that's probably exhausted its time period. Let me see.
Would it be able to, after the year, like say you renewed, would that all those in your gallery still be available, or is just after a year it's done?
After a year, I mean, we give you up to a year, right? So you figure it out then.
Good question.
Oh, maybe I'm still able to download some of these. Well, I wanted to show you this one here. This one's still showing active. Oops, wrong one. Let's see if I can go in here. Oh, it's not in there.
It's cold.
Okay, so this is another This is another sample of a different event. I think on this one, I did use an iPhone, if I'm not mistaken. And this is using what's called an animated overlay, right? An animated overlay is actually a video, right? It's actually a video that is played over what you're capturing. And let me see, it goes something like this, okay? Let me hit play on that real quick.
That is too cute.
Can you create like the overlays on TouchPix, like the names and the date and all that?
Yeah, so
which one was that? Like the one you just showed, like, you know, when you go into the ending and you add that to the.
so that's all part of my overlay, right? I had a designer make that for me, and I'll drop some designer names. So that's called an animated overlay. The designer that I use, his name was Matt Calvert, right? He's in our group. That's why I always tell people, join our group. It's full of different, it has a lot of resources for you guys that are getting into this. And, you know, I think it'll pay dividends if you guys make the proper connections and start really diving into this type of, these types of outputs, right? Then you guys can definitely do that. So it's an animated overlay. It does this, it does the curtains, right?
Oh, so this isn't in the effects, like in the end, like what you add on the phone.
Yeah, so I just wanted to give you guys a sample of that because there's different events, different types of stuff that I use, and I just want you guys, to actually see the full experience. Sometimes it's hard to see the full experience, but you guys are more than capable of doing any of this stuff, right? I change it out from my phone depending on what the event is and what's available at my disposal at that given day, I'll use that, right? I think for the most part, the software itself is capable of producing excellent output. And, you guys should not have an issue with any of that at all. So I'm going to dive into the software now, right? And then as we get to certain parts where, I'm actually going to do a full setup of the iPhone. I'm going to save the sharing station for kind of a part 2 of this webinar. I just want you guys to set up an event. And, doesn't mean that you guys have to log on next Wednesday. Hopefully I'll do a part 2 of the webinar quick and I can post it. There is something on the TouchPix YouTube page already that teaches you how to set up that event, or I might just cover it real quick and do a more in-depth explanation of how the sharing station works. But first of all, what we're gonna do is when you log into your account, right? The events tab is what you're gonna pay attention to. Where it says my subscription, most of you that buy it from the App Store, you guys will not see a subscription here, right? All this is make-believe, but you guys will not see a subscription here because our purchases through the App Store and our website are completely separate. They don't necessarily have your subscription information or your expiration date. I will teach you and show you where that's at once I scan into this event that I'm about to create. But I do get calls saying, I just purchased the app. I don't see it in my subscription. I don't see it in my account. And you're not going to see it into your account, but I will show you where it's going to be. Okay. So up here where it says create an event, there's a couple of choices: create a custom event or create a event from a preset. Then we have our designer. These are the top 2 areas that we're going to use to create an event. Once you have your account and you're successfully logged in, I'm going to take you to create an event from a preset. I'm not going to go into great detail with this, but I'm going to explain to you what this is. This is kind of a dummy-proof way of setting up TouchPix. It's 3-click process and you're up and running, right? You're telling the software what you own. If I have a non-motorized spinner, a manual one with a TV, I will select this. If I have something with the motorized, I'll select this. It's a 3-click process. It'll set up an event for you. The downside to this is that I think this is kind of like a cheat code. It's not really showing you the intricacies of the software. It's not really showing you where some of these features are. And you're kind of doing a little bit of a disservice to yourself by doing it this way, because TouchPix, what it will do is it's going to put TouchPix logos. TouchPix is going to pick its own song. And unless you're going to move the logos and remove the song, you're going to have to go back in there anyways to remove that, to replace it with yours. And it's a little redundant. So that's why I don't like to teach the preset, but the preset is available if you decide to want to play around with it, or decide to do an iPad photo booth with prints, or just a sharing station. It's meant for a 3-click process. The real way to show you how to use TouchPix is using create a custom event. Once we open the create a custom event, it's fairly easy. You're going to get essentially this very long form. And we're going to start from the beginning, and I'm going to explain to you what it all does. From the beginning, all you do is fill up the form. I'm going to call this event test. I'm going to give it today's date, which is the 13th, right? The language is English. The country of origin is the USA. If you are in another country, please make sure you put whatever country it is that you're in. Sometimes there's issues if you are trying to operate outside the United States and you're indicating the wrong country. Countdown. Countdown is like any other photo booth. Any other photo booth that you've been into, there's usually a countdown before it starts taking pictures. TouchPix is the same way with 360. It'll give you a countdown. You can actually minimize this or increase the countdown before it actually starts recording. This time will allow you or the attendant operating the 360 booth to educate your guests or prompt your guests on what to do. You'll be amazed of how many people have never been on the 360 before. They'll get on the platform and they'll say, now what do I do? How do I move? And then you explain to them, well, it's going to record you in slow motion. And then they start moving in slow motion. And you're like, no, you don't have to move in slow motion. Just, do a little dance, move normally. The camera will actually capture your video and incorporate a slow motion effect in there. Then they'll get it. But this is your time to explain to your guest. I typically leave it down at 2 seconds or 1 second. For the purposes of this, I'll leave it at 2 seconds. And then this beep sound, what this means is for every second, you'll hear an auditory sound come out of your phone saying, with the beep, just prompting you that that's 1 second down. Mirror overlay preview. I'm going to go ahead and deselect this. This is not needed for 360. What this essentially is once you design your artwork onto the TouchPix platform on the designer, once you see your design on the live view, on the face of your iPhone or iPad, then it's going to have the mirror effect. It's going to look like it's backwards, but the output actually is going to be normal. You don't need this active for 360, so just disable it. For TouchPix, you're always going to want to use the rear camera. And even if you're using a GoPro, I recommend following these settings and switching it to your GoPro after the fact. The reason why I say that is because I'm trying to prepare you for worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is you're using a GoPro and your GoPro overheats, your GoPro loses connection, your GoPro battery dies. A lot of different things can happen to the GoPro. If you follow these steps, you'll be ready to go and put your iPhone or your iPad on the mount, and you'll be able to continue without a hiccup. So I always check rear camera. You're never going to want to use your front camera on this. Your front camera on your phone or any iPad is not equipped to handle slow motion, right? It will do it. It will simulate slow motion, but the output will suffer. It's not going to be a high quality output. So always use the rear camera. It's meant for high frame rate recording. It's a better camera. It has an ultra wide lens. So it just has more stabilization as well. And it's equipped for that. So enable rear camera. Camera exposure, you could definitely leave that checked on. What that means is if you're going to a venue and you may have forgotten maybe a couple of your lights, and that venue, the lighting is dim, it will allow you to go into your camera exposure menu and play with the ISO or exposure to kind of bump up some of the exposure to give you more light, right? It'll give you that flexibility to go into the software and mess with those settings. QR protection. leave this disabled. This is kind of meant more for the photo booth side. The QR protection is meant for unattended booths. People use TouchPix for photo booths and their drop-off units. The QR protection just prevents people from accessing the background settings and making changes. So it's always going to ask for a QR to be able to access the background. For 360s, you don't need this. We're assuming that you're running a fully staffed with attended ready 360 experience, so you'll have an eye on people trying to mess with your settings. We're not printing. This is not a photo booth, but that's why we do have options, because it is a photo booth software. For this case, it's a 360 video, so we're not using photos, we're not using boomerangs, we're not using GIFs, we're not using videos. All we're concerned about is slow motion. As we scroll down, this is a slow motion recording time. This means that by default, my recording time is set to 4.5 seconds. It doesn't mean that my output is going to be 4.5 seconds. It just means that it's going to record for 4.5 seconds. That's all it means. The software will add the effects, and it will add the slow-mo boomerang if it's enabled. What that boomerang means is once it plays the entire file at the end, the boomerang just plays it back in reverse, right? So it has that boomerang effect.
Got a question.
Sure.
What do you control the speed at? I've seen some people that it goes real fast or it goes slow. What do you control the speeds? Is that in the effects?
So the speed, you could only control the slow-mo timing. You can't control like make it faster. It's only the slow-mo timing currently. So you can control how slow it's going to go. But as far as it speeding up, the software does it on its own by default.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably the like the actual photo booth, like how you can speed up the camera, how fast it's going around and how it's slowing. Yeah.
So you will want to enable the slow-mo boomerang effect because it has a good effect to it. Okay. And if you look to the right here, this is a controversial topic here, the audio. People ask me, hey, DJ1, where can I get my audio files? You guys got to remember, we are TouchPix. We're a legitimate company. We like to do things legitimate way. We're always going to recommend you use an MP3 file. And we're always going to recommend you use something that is licensed through you. If you paid licensing through a legitimate record label, which is going to be very expensive, by the way, then go ahead and use it, right? But if you cannot get clearance in those licenses, I recommend that you don't use any top 40 radio songs or anything mainstream, because by the time you want to post it on Instagram or Facebook, they're going to delete your video anyways, right? Everything's copyright protected. So common question is, DJ1, where can I get my music? Well, I'm going to recommend the following websites. And if you guys can open up your chat room one more time, I'm going to go ahead and put it in the chat box. Let me see as soon as I find my chat box.
Question.
Go ahead.
So with the slow-mo, there's times where I've done, so this is a refresher for me. So there's times that I've done the videos and I've noticed like it starts off in the first 10 seconds of it, like recording, right? And then there's other times where the slow-mo is like at the end of the video. Is there a way where you could determine when it starts that part?
Yeah, I'll show you that. That's in the video effects creator.
Okay.
So I put some sound, some websites in there for copy. It's called.
I got a question.
It's called.
Everything's
fine. I'll come back and check on you, Bill. Just get started.
Okay.
I got a question. So where exactly is where we put the sparkles and stuff like that?
Yeah,
Is
so
that
I'll show you once I make that transition over to my phone. Right now, you're just looking at the setup process. Once I get to the phone part and you guys will see my phone, I'll show you guys where we're at with that. Okay.
Okay.
Hey, DJ.
Yeah.
Now, on your GoPro 7, does it heat up frequently?
So there's another misconception with the GoPros. Nobody uses the GoPro with the battery that it came with, right? That's a GoPro issue. It's known from the 6 all the way to the 10. Everybody that uses GoPros in the 360 industry, they use external battery packs. So they run a USB cable. They take out their internal battery, and they run the cable to a battery bank that's either Velcro to their arm or mounted onto the arm somehow, and that's what powers the GoPro.
Okay, because my GoPro is like so hot, and I just plugged it in for the first time, and I'm like, is this broke?
Yeah. Do you have a built-in battery inside?
No, it came with 2 batteries. It's a GoPro 7.
Okay. But does it have, I mean, do you have a battery inside of it, or are you powering it up
Yes.
externally?
Yes,
Yeah.
I
So
have a battery inside of it.
the battery is what a lot of people take off for 360 photo booths or video booths. I'm sorry. So yeah, leave the battery out, power it with a power bank. That's what everybody
Okay, a
does
power
in the
bank. I
industry.
can purchase a power bank.
Yeah, you can do that on Amazon. You look for a
Okay.
USB power bank. Try to get a small one, that way it doesn't weigh a lot on that arm.
Thank you.
Cool.
DJ, I have a question.
Sure.
We're on the slow-mo recording time. Do we ever change that, or that should always be standard at the 4.5?
No, you can change that. I mean,
Okay.
the videos that I showed you earlier, they were at my videos typically last about 30 seconds total time.
Okay.
I usually change that over to like 5.5 or 6.
Okay.
It really depends on how long you want your output video to be.
Okay. Thank you.
Once you have an established MP3 file, right? I asked you to put it in that folder that I had you create at the beginning. TouchPix will allow you to use any MP3, doesn't matter. You cannot use Apple Music. Even though you do pay for Apple Music, doesn't mean that you have the right to use that song. It means that you agreed through the Apple disclaimer that you are going to use it for personal use. If you're using it as a business, you're now switching that personal use to commercial. And it doesn't work that way. You're going to get yourself into some legal issues that have happened in the industry. So we're trying to kind of steer you in the right direction. So you're going to want to hit choose file as soon as you get an MP3 file, right? And I'm going to go over to my desktop, and I'm going to go into TouchPix 2. This is a file that I created. I'm going to use this song right here. If I hover over the song, you're going to see that it's already preset for 30 seconds in length. I'm going to select it and hit open. Now you will see the name of the song here. It says MP3, and it's loaded. The screen flash, I'm going to leave that disabled. That's for the photo booth. You do not need to check that. And these timeouts, I get questions as to what these timeouts mean. These numbers equate to number of seconds. If I was running a survey, it'll leave guests up to 10 seconds to type in their survey answers. I'm not doing a survey. I'm not doing a, give me a sec. It says my internet's a little wonky right now. Okay. I'm not doing editing. I'm not worried about the thank you screen. I'm not worried about props. The only thing I'm worried about is the sharing segment. Leave it at 12. It just allows users up to 12 seconds to input their entire phone number. Leave it at a number. Do not zero out that section, or else you're going to get issues with your sharing station towards the end. So leave it there at 12. It's kind of a default setting. Leave it on that exact number, and it'll work out great for you. The bottom segment now is talking about sharing options. A lot of people use SMS text messaging. A lot of people use emails. I encourage you to not use Facebook, Twitter, copy. The reason why I don't want you to use Facebook, Twitter is because it's going to ask every guest to put their entire email Facebook login with password, and not that many people know that stuff. So it's really going to cause a workflow issue. So use either email or text. They'll get it onto their phone, and they could upload it to their own social media platform. WhatsApp is new. This is for a lot of people that are into WhatsApp. WhatsApp is quickly growing as one of the highest used messaging apps. So we did add WhatsApp. Download is also very important, because as I explained earlier, TouchPix is a cloud-based app. So as soon as you're done with your video, right, TouchPix then automatically uploads it to the server. So when you're texting a video to yourself, you're not actually getting the actual video being texted. You're getting a hyperlink. That link, if you're an iPhone user, if a user taps on that link and they open up that link, it'll be defaulted to your web browser on your iPhone, right? If you're using an iPhone, it'll be defaulted to the Safari web browser. If you don't not check this download option and you default to the Safari browser, you're going to have an impossible time to download that specific file. This download button adds it to your Safari web browser where it's going to allow you to download it from your web browser. So make sure you check that off. If you're an Android user, this doesn't matter, but we have about 90% iPhone users now and 10% still use Android. So I would always make sure you check out the download. AirDrop is probably the best way to share because it doesn't require any internet, doesn't require anything at all. It all requires that both people have iPhones or an iPad or some sort of device that they can cross-reference between iOS. So this is probably the best way to share, no internet required. If you're
And
using
all of that is going to be at the sharing station, right?
correct,
Sorry.
correct.
Thank you.
QR code is going to provide a QR for download for that specific file. You do need internet for that, right? You also need internet for email and text. So QR code, in order for it to work, you do need internet. Make sure you check that off. Edit screen on the side here, leave it disabled. This is for the photo booth side. This is how people add props to people's faces on the photo booth side. So you don't need that. This is super important right here. In-app gallery, you're gonna want to leave in-app gallery. This is what controls your sharing station. You're gonna want that checked off. As we scroll down, we're here to the email subject. This is where you can change this to say, XYZ photo booth. I'm pretending that's my company, xyzphotobooth.com. And then you can put a default message like, thank you for using. You're going to replace TouchPix with XYZ photo booth and maybe drop your contact number or some type of Instagram follow me at, type of hashtag or something. I usually keep these messages all identical. That way I can keep everything consistent. So I'll leave these messages pretty consistent to one another as I move down. You can cater this branding to your needs. As you move down, we're not worried about props. We're not doing a photo booth. You're going to put your business name right here.
DJ, can I ask you one question before
Sure.
you get past the props there?
Sure.
So on the props there, obviously, it can be used in TouchPix, correct?
In photo booth related, yes.
Oh, just in the photo booth, not in 360.
Correct.
Okay, all right. I see why you skipped it a bit. All right, no worries. Go ahead.
Okay. So you're going to want to put some your business name here. Then you're going to have this section here where it's going to ask you for your app logo, your background logo, and your web background logo, right? I'm going to give you an example of what that is. So I'm going to start with the web gallery background. If you guys noticed, I took you to my web gallery background. This background is actually a stock image of my logo up here. If you can barely see it, that's what that image is, right? So that specifically, let me see, are you guys able to see that right now, my screen with all these thumbnails? Yeah, right? Yeah, I think you are.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that that web gallery background is what's behind all of these thumbnails, right? Now I'm going to toggle over to the app background. I'll show you what the app background is, but the app background basically is, it's going to live behind your iPhone screen. It's behind the controls that say start recording or start slow-mo gallery. It's actually your logo for people to be, for it to be visible, right? The app logo again, it's going to be this little logo right here. And if you're using a Apple TV box, it also places this logo on your Apple TV screen. That's optional. I will go over that today, but it's an optional. If you're using Apple TV, you don't require it, but I'm just explaining to you that that logo will go in there. I like to keep all these logos consistent. So what I'm going to do for this purpose is I'm going to hit choose file. It's taking me automatically to that folder that I created on my desktop. And I'm going to pretend that this Instagram logo is my logo for this purposes of this tutorial. I'm going to select that Instagram logo there. I'm also going to use the same exact logo for my app background. And I'm also going to use the same exact logo for the web gallery background. I'm hovering over my logo there. You can see that that logo is a PNG file. PNG file means it's a transparent file. What that means is right behind, if you look at this logo right now, you see a white square. What a transparent file means is it actually doesn't have a white background. It's just the file cut out on its own. If this was a JPEG, then it will have a white background. I like to work with a lot of PNG files because they're easier to work with, but it will accept JPEGs if you have a JPEG. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And as a pointer, try to keep your dimensions. Right now you're looking at my file dimensions. Keep them under 2,500 pixels, right? Mine are just at 640. Under 2,500 pixels will work great. So I'm going to go ahead and select it as my last option. So it's loaded in all these three areas. I'm not going to show you what the track screen is. The track screen is a file that you can actually load in the event that your 360 booth is not being used. Like maybe it's during the toast hour where they're giving speeches and your booth is at idle. It has an option of either displaying a picture or a video file that has movement, right? It attracts attention to people. That's why it's called an attract screen. And once you tap on that screen, it goes back into normal mode. It's not needed. You can leave it without, but I wanted to explain what it is.
Yes.
Let me see. Text and button color. I just explained to you what a transparent file is, right? So if my logo had a white background and my text and button colors are white, you will not be able to see my text or button colors because they're going to be camouflaged. So if you're using a background that's not transparent and it's a white background, you're going to want to go ahead and click on this square and change the text color something different to something different that you'll be allowed to see what the text and the buttons are looking like. I'm going to leave it at white because I know my specific background doesn't have a white background. So I'm going to leave it at white there. We're almost done. So as we scroll here to the survey part, I'm going to briefly touch on it for 360s. I've never seen it used for 360s. I've seen it used for photo booths. And this will allow you to create a survey for maybe clients that require data collection. Car dealerships, things that require like a photo booth drop off that want to know certain questions. More than not, they want to capture your email address because they want to be able to market to those email addresses at the end of the day. So it collects data, right? You can say for a car dealership, are you ready to buy a new car within 3 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months, 12 months to 18 months? And that's valuable information for a car dealership to know. And they'll have access to email addresses. You know, that's an upsell if you're doing photo booths related. For 360s, we're not going to mess with this. We're going to disable it. As we go down here to the motion trigger, I'm also going to explain to you what it is, but I'm going to leave it disabled. A motion trigger, TouchPix has the ability of, if you have a motorized or a manual spinner, if I enable motion trigger and I place my iPhone on the arm of the TouchPix, I place the arm on the 360 arm. If I were to move the arm, the TouchPix app will detect that the phone's being moved and it'll actually start your countdown to start recording based on movement. That's what a motion trigger is. Same thing if you have an automatic spinner and you hit the on button, TouchPix will it'll receive the signal saying that the phone has been moved and it'll start recording. I like to show this webinar without it. I think it's a great feature if you want to use it, but not everybody has the same spinners. So based on the, just how easy it is to use, I like to show it without. And I'm going to go ahead and leave it disabled.
DJ, I got one question for you. I wanted to try to catch you before you got past that that survey thing. Real quick question on that though. So if I enable that there, so for every video, like say someone get or the customer get, will they have an opportunity to fill out that survey?
Correct.
So
Correct.
if they had guests at the party and that one individual just got their one video, they also get an opportunity to fill out that survey too?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Correct. Typically, it will not deliver till they fill out the survey, right?
All right,
So this last part here is called the external screen. This is an optional feature. This is what's called a money maker feature. I call it that because it gives you the opportunity to charge more, right? You don't need this. You don't need this for it to work, but it's a really good upcharge, right? The external screen feature, it works with an Apple TV, right? If you have an Apple TV is a little box that's similar to an Amazon Fire Stick or a Google Chromecast. We're recommending right now for people to use either the 4th generation or the 5th generation Apple TV box. What it does with TouchPix, right? If you enable screen mirroring on your phone, now people will not only be able to see themselves with the live record, it actually has some special animations on the TV, right? And it actually does video playback. Furthermore, after the video playback concludes on the TV, it actually puts a little QR code beneath the video. So now your guests are able to walk to that TV, scan the QR code right beneath the video, and boom, they have that video onto their phone automatically. For the QR code to function, you do need internet. This is strictly optional if you guys are going to be taking TVs out to your events. This is at least very minimum $250 upcharge, right? So be mindful of that because it is a great way to make extra money. But also, I don't expect people to be taking TVs out there for free. You can do this from anything from a 24-inch TV up to a projector. It's kind of like the wow factor, right? So definitely be mindful of that. Again, it's optional. You don't need it. I'm going to go ahead and enable it. That way you guys can see it. And the company logo, when that's enabled, just as a reference, know that the logo is being extracted from this area. Whatever logo you used here, it will use that logo and place it onto your TV. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. We are done creating an event. It doesn't take an hour like I just took to explain this whole process. You know, if you're new to TouchPix, it might take you about 15, maybe 20 minutes at the longest to figure this out or just to reconfirm, right? But once you have 2, 3, 4 events down, you're going to get this in probably less than 10 minutes, possibly 5 minutes. You know, it's an extremely quick process. I could set up an event now like in 2 minutes or less, right? So be mindful of that. So once it's, go ahead.
So with
Go ahead.
this,
why
what we
would-
just designed, are we able to pretty much save it as a default or like a template for future use?
Yes, you can always, once you're done with this event and you're happy with the settings, you can always save it, the settings, and duplicate your next event to have the same exact settings. You will just have to go back in there to change your artwork and your music file, and that's it.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, the other question.
DJ, one question for you. What I noticed, because I was following along with you on that when you were creating that event there, and down at the bottom right there when you hit submit, I noticed you had a preset down at the bottom.
Yeah, you guys don't see that. That's
Okay. That was my question. I don't have that on this area.
Yeah, you don't see that. I have the developer options on my screen, so I apologize.
Okay.
So what would make you not duplicate an event besides the music and the artwork?
Nothing. I duplicate my events all the time, right?
Okay.
That's what I duplicate them all the time, you know, and I just change out my artwork. If I find my sweet spot of what I want to use, then there's no reason for me to go through this whole process again. I'll just duplicate.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I thought. Okay. Thanks.
Just a quick question.
Go ahead.
With the Apple TV, so I don't need a share station if I got the Apple TV, right?
No.
Because you said that the Apple TV gives you the QR code, so that's mean I don't need a share station afterwards.
That's correct. But the thing that I did not share with you guys is the Apple TV, right? Give me a sec here. I'm trying to close out some windows. The Apple TV will only play the 4 most recent videos, right? It doesn't do your entire gallery, meaning that if a guest jumps onto your spinner and then gets off, right, and goes and mingles in the party for about an hour and says, "Oh damn, I forgot to go grab my my file," and they come back to you and they say, "Hey, can you pull up my file?" You will have no way to pull that file up. You'll have no way of pulling that file up anymore. So you do need a sharing station. I would recommend, I mean, you don't need a sharing station. With TouchPix, there's so many ways to share, but the sharing station just makes it that much easier. And I'll explain what I mean by different ways of sharing. So just be mindful of that. And you know, you have options with TouchPix. There's not one way that's better than the other. It's more of what's recommended moving forward.
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
So if a client does miss the opportunity to get their file, can they get the link later on and then go back and search through the gallery to download their specific file?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There is different ways of getting files in the gallery, right? You can actually, what you can do, and I'm not going to get into too much of that because I want to show it at the end, is you can actually print out a QR code to your gallery and just have a picture of that QR code on maybe like a table, right? And as your event progresses, that QR code, you're giving people access to the whole entire gallery, so they could just download it by just scanning that QR code, right? So there's different ways of sharing. Obviously, if you were to do it that way, I always throw the disclaimer, check in with the person that's paying you for the event, because a lot of people are super private and they don't want you to get access to the entire gallery. So always check in with the person that is paying for the event. That makes sense. So once I hit submit, right, it showed me the QR code, but I'm not ready to scan the QR code because I still need to do a artwork, right? I need to design my artwork before I'm ready. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the designer tab. This is where you add your artwork. As I go into the designer tab, by default, it goes into photo booth mode, like the photo booth strips. I do not want the photo booth strips. I want to tell the software that I'm using a slow motion photo booth. So on the left-hand side, I go over to where it says templates. From templates, there is a drop-down menu, and I go to slow-mo overlays, right? Slow-mo overlays is where you want to be. It gives you 5 different options. If you can see, option 1 is more of a vertical style template. If you're using an iPhone, I recommend that you position your iPhone with the camera on top, right, versus on its side, because it's a vertical style template. Template 2, 3, and 4 can be positioned with the camera on the side, right, because it's a more of a landscape style template. Template 3 and 4 seem to have a wider angle, camera angle. Template 5 is also a vertical template. From experience and seeing a lot of users use our app, I will say template 1, 2, and 3 are probably the most popular, with 2 probably being the most widely used. The reason 2 is widely used by everyone is because it's a square. It's Instagram ready, it's Instagram friendly, and you know, people tend to love that for their uploads. So once you pick photo booth overlay 2, I'm going to click on it. You see the silhouette pop over to your right-hand side. From this place, you can actually design something really basic on TouchPix, right? If you want more elaborate designs, then you're going to want to contact the graphic designer, or you're going to want to learn how to use Canva or Photoshop yourself to design them yourself, right? If you're new to the industry, I suggest you probably reach out to some designers, and you know, a lot of people offer really good deals on designs. But for you to be able to grasp not only the software, but then to grasp on how to use Photoshop or Canva, that may be a little too much for you to take all at once. So pace yourself and just do what you can and try to find out some connections on how to use the rest. So if I'm using this overlay and I want to design something basic within TouchPix, I'm going to go ahead and hit this sticker option, right? The sticker option has tons of transparent PNG files for weddings, for birthdays, just different types of files that are transparent for me to use, right? So for example, say I wanted to use these lights, right? I click on these lights. Once I click on them, you'll see them pop up on my screen. I can now resize them, right? And place them wherever I want, right? I'm gonna still resize. Maybe I don't like the color that they're in right now, right? And I want to change the color. Then I can play with the hue, the saturation, figure out what it is that I want the lights to look like, and to go from there, right? So you can use lights. I'm going to go ahead and delete the lights just by clicking on them and hitting delete on my keyboard. If lights is not your thing and maybe you want to do a quick little border of something, you can always come down here and look for something that you may like as a border. For example, I'm going to do something really basic. I'm just going to use this line here. I see the line pop up here on the screen. As you can see, now I'm making it larger. I'm bringing it down, right? Maybe I want that there. And now I want to add a top border to that. So I can hit this duplicate button up here. And now it gave me a different one that I can put up here on top now. And maybe say I want to use a square. I'm going to hit the duplicate button again, click on it. And now it gives me this little middle tab where I can rotate it, right? And I could actually resize it differently if I wanted to do that and move it to a location that's not going to look bad. And again, I'm not a graphic designer. I'm just kind of showing you guys freestyling here how you can do things. Let me see here. Well, that's not working. Well, you can get the idea. You can make your own borders. I'm just going to do something quick here because it seemed to work for one, but not the other. Here we go. And you can input these exactly where you want to input them. Let me erase some of these here. And say now I wanted to add text to this basic layout. You can go ahead and hit text. Once you hit text, you're going to want to click large text right here on the left-hand side. The text comes up on the screen. If you look at this number right here on the left-hand side, if you go up, the text gets larger and larger, right? If I want to change the font, I'd stretch this box out real quick, right? If I want to change the font, I'm going to go ahead and hit this drop-down menu and say, maybe I like this font right here. And maybe I want to change the font color to some ugly color. There we go. Right. So now I can double click in this box and change the font and make it say happy birthday, or make it say something completely different, right? Happy birthday. And you can position this wherever you want. Again, I'm just showing you, you can get creative. If you have design skills, get creative with this. There's tons of files. You could actually even upload a logo. So say I wanted to upload my logo to this. When I hit upload, adds a sticker. Again, I'm pretending this is my logo here, the Instagram logo. Once it uploads a logo, it'll put it at the very top on the top left-hand corner. I click on it. Here's my logo. Now I can put it on my template there, right? That is some like a quick and easy way, right? I'm going to delete all of this because now I'm going to show you how to upload a template that somebody designed for me. I'll just leave my logo up there for now. And I'm going to go ahead and click uploads. From uploads, I'm going to do a custom overlay. If I hover over custom overlay, this question mark appears. it actually gives me the template sizes for all 5 choices. So if you're going to use a graphic designer, it's really important for you to tell them what size your template is that you're using, right? Template 2 is 1072 by 1072. Template 1 is 1072 by 1440, and template 3 is 1440 by 1072. All of these sizes are in pixels. I'm using template 2. So 1072 by 1072 is the one that I'm using, right? That's what you're going to give your graphic designer. They'll design it for you. They'll email it to you, right? Once you email it, once you receive that email, you're going to save it onto your desktop folder, drop it into where I asked you to save all your files. I'm going to hit browse because I'm now going to upload a custom overlay. And now I'm going to add a square, right? I had somebody just design a basic square for me. There's my square. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And now I have a nice little border around my design. And if I still wanted to add maybe the name of the person, I want to go ahead and add, I'm going to do a sticker, right? Hit browse. And if you see, I have the name of the person right here. So whoever designed my file gave it to me in pieces, right? And sometimes I like them this way because I can reuse this border with somebody else if I want to, versus if I had them design it all in one, I could only use it once. So I will click on this PNG, the name of the person, and click open. It pops up here. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. It's the name of the person. So now I'm going to make this larger, and this person's name is Natalia Sofia. I'm going to go ahead and place it there. If I'm having issues with the centering, right, you can go ahead and click this snap grid or enable grid, I'm sorry. And you can reposition your font and make sure that it's nice and centered, right? And then disable grid. And once I'm happy with this specific layout, all I'm going to do is hit add template. But before I hit add template, I want to make sure that it's added to the right event that I called test 101321. So I'm going to go ahead and click add.
Quick question for you, DJ. Just like that frame that you put in there, obviously it doesn't go all the way out to the borders there. I noticed I see some videos where when they put those frames in there like that, obviously it looks just like how you got it. The frame doesn't go all the way out to the borders of the video. Is it possible that they may come out with an update where you can actually stretch that out if you wanted to?
Well, I think you can. Let's try it here on the fly. I'm not 100% sure, but
I tried it and I couldn't do it. The reason why I asked the question.
So let's try it. All right. So let me go back into. Well, I just loaded that. So let me just
I know
try.
you can do it under your stickers, but I couldn't do it on the overlays.
Yeah. So that's the only way you'll be able to do it under sticker. So if you do it under sticker, this is how you would do that, right?
Right, under sticker, yeah.
Under sticker, you'd be able to do it. Yeah, so this is very dependent on your design that you're using, but you're able to do it under sticker. You won't be able to do it under overlay unless you have your graphic designer. If you tell your graphic designer you want it, in this case, I told my graphic designer this is where I wanted it. Your graphic designer has the ability to spread it closer to the edge if you want it that way. In my case, this is how I run my specific booth. So, you know, I like how that looks. It almost has a little layered effect to it. So, but yeah, I mean, you just tell your graphic designer or you design it that way on Photoshop, you can position that wherever you want.
Hey, DJ, can you tell us more about the background? Is that when you put background on there, does it change the whole background?
No, so the background is not used for this. This is for the photo booth side of things, where the difference is for the video booths, your background is, this whole entire background is where the video is going to be placed, right? For photo booths, that's not necessarily the case. There's a lot of dead space between the photos that this background effects would be applied to. For videos, that's not the case. We can't use any of this background stuff here.
Question on that one there, DJ, on that background what he was talking about. It seems like I have seen that those backgrounds, like if I'm using the Apple TV, and before I start the video, it looks like that one background, the top left one there is like my background on the TV. So I'm just wondering, that's where you can change that background on the television.
Negative. That's not where it's at.
Okay.
The stuff from the television is considered more an advanced feature. I'll show you where that's at. You can find it under support, downloads, right?
Okay.
Your TV background is going to be right here.
Okay.
It's a zip file. You know, if you're not ready to take that jump, it is actually a pretty huge jump because these files are specific. These are not normal files that you can just replace, right? These are called sequential PNG animated files, and they need to be done in an order that is going to be reflective of what you're trying to achieve. So it's a pretty big jump from messing with overlays to now going to this. Not sure if we're going to be doing a tutorial on this. I did this a long time ago. You know, it's not that easy, and for us to be able to support it may be a little difficult because this may be just something that we may want to work with a graphic designer that works with our software and have them offer this to the general public. It's just something that will be hard to support if you start diving into these settings and start making changes without kind of meeting certain criteria points.
Okay.
Okay, so once I'm done with my event, right, I'm gonna go ahead and let me open up a new window here. Once I'm done with my event, I'm gonna go ahead and go over to my phone. And now I'm gonna scan into this QR code here on the left, QR code. And I'm gonna hit connect here because my phone's about to connect. Start my mirror process, start broadcast. Okay, so now on my right-hand side, you'll be able to see the phone, right? There it is, I think it's coming on board. Here we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up TouchPix. This is TouchPix over here on the right-hand side.
Wait a minute, on the template, where did it go? I know you hit add template, then what?
Under template, once you hit add template, you just go over to my events, right? You go over to events and it's listed right here. And then you go into the QR. Once it added the event, once it turns green, it adds the template automatically. You can actually see it right here. If you click on overlays, you'll see that my template is there and it's loaded in the exact location that I want it, which is slow-mo overlay. And this is what my template looks like.
Hey, DJ, quick question right on this part. Now, let's just say you forgot to add something to that overlay. Can you go back and add something to it?
Negative. So if you forgot, if you forgot to add something, what I would recommend you do the following. If you click overlay, right, and you forgot to add something, if you just want to add something, I would recommend that you right click on it and then just save this entire image all together as a solid PNG file, right? So this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do it now on the fly. TouchPix 2. I'm going to name this file new, right? I'm going to save it into that folder. Then I'm going to delete this, right? I'm going to delete this. I'm going to remove it because I forgot to add something. So now what I'm going to do is go over to my dashboard real quick. And I'm going to go into Designer. Let me blow up the screen one more time. So from Designer, again, I'm going to go to Templates, Slow-Mo Overlay. I'm messing with Slow-Mo Overlay 2. From this point, I don't have anything on here anymore. I'm going to go to Uploads. From Uploads, I'm going to go to Custom Overlay. This is my new PNG that I just saved with all the elements together. Hit Open. It's down here. You're going to always want to click on it. Now it places everything together, right? It places everything together. And now if I wanted to add something additional to that, now I'll click browse and add maybe, you know, maybe I'll add this
Yeah,
TouchPix TouchPix PNG up there. Right, and now I can add it wherever I want to add it,
Gotcha.
right?
Then you just add the template.
Yeah, and then you just hit add template, right?
You got it.
And once you're done formatting template, you go back over to events. You click on QR code. And now we're stuck here where my iPhone is on the right-hand side and the web browser is on the left-hand side. So if you're at this location and you already have your subscription, I always recommend just hit subscription anyways. Tap on the subscription button.
No, baby, under the
Right? Once you
printer,
tap on subscriptions,
and the
you're being taken
cord
to
is in there.
our pricing page. And once you're on our pricing page, you can actually buy whatever subscription you want from here, from the App Store. But if you already have a subscription, you're going to want to hit Restore Purchase. And once I hit Restore Purchase, if you already have one, it'll say your subscription has been restored. Then you're going to want to hit Go Back. Now I'm ready to activate this event. I'm going to go ahead and click.
So DJ, how often do you have to do that as far as renew the subscription?
Well, it depends. It really depends on you. How often are you deleting the app, or how often are you starting over? If you're deleting the app, I recommend you do it every time you delete the app. If you don't delete the app, then you don't need to do it over and over.
Got it.
So you hit activate event. Once you hit activate event, it's going to ask you if I want a test event or activate it. The test event will always have watermarks. The activate one will activate the event. So this is what I recommend. When you guys are setting up your events, please don't set up the event 10 minutes before your party or your event. You should at least have your event set up the day before, at least a bare minimum, the day before your event, you should be already with an active event on your phone, right? You don't want to run into a situation where you're going to an event, you haven't activated, and then you're running into subscription issues because it could be prevented if you just prepare. A lot of the problems we get on the weekends, people calling in, is because they're not preparing. They're telling me, DJ, can you design this for me? No, I'm not a designer. I will not design anything for anyone, right? It's not my responsibility to run your business. It's my responsibility to show you how to run your business, but I can't be held liable for kind of fixing the mistakes that could easily be prevented on your end. I will help you as much as I can with whatever I can do, but I'm not a graphic designer. I'm not going to load any specific overlay for you. I will guide you on how to do that. Same thing with music. I will guide you on how to load your music, but I'm not going to load any music for you. Too much liability on our end for that. So once you're here, you're going to want to head and activate your event, right? I think I'm going to hit go back because I think I hit test, activate event. Here we go. Yeah, I think I messed up on this one. Give me a sec here.
Question, while you're doing that part, so once you activate the event, you can't go back in and change the design, right?
Yeah, you can.
You can't. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can always do that. I'm gonna just start from scratch. Give me a sec here.
Because each time I've activated an event, for some reason, I don't know, maybe this is like back.
And I'll show you how to do that. I mean,
okay,
it's very easy to do. I'll show you how to do that now, actually. That way you guys can see it on the fly and how easy it is for you to do. So I'm just downloading the app.
You think it's giving you that error because you went back and changed the design?
Yeah, so I mean, no, it's not because of that. It's giving me the error
Okay.
because I accidentally hit test initially and I refused to give it,
okay.
I refused to give it permissions for my camera. So I think I just tapped on something too quick.
Got it.
So now I'm gonna go back, hit activate event, go active. See, I didn't allow the camera permissions. So this is very important too. You need to allow it all permissions. If you hit something wrong, not allowing it permission, it's going to mess up your flow, and it may even impact your sharing station. So right here, you hit OK for camera permission. Now I'm going to scan my QR code, right? I'm scanning my QR code to recognize the event. It's actually loading the event. Another popular call that I get this weekend is this next message I got here. It says, would I like to allow it to connect to devices on my local network? So many people press don't allow. This messes up your sharing station. If you're having sharing station issues without it finding each other, your device finding the iPad, your iPad finding your iPhone, this is a primary reason of why that happens. People go too quick. Always give it permissions for everything. Microphone, okay. And Bluetooth, okay. Allow access to all photos.
DJ, while you're talking about sharing station right quick or not, you mentioned it. Remember, I had a problem with mine that I couldn't figure out in our last meeting. It was too far away from my actual setup.
Okay.
And I saw that in our Facebook group, it has to be only a certain amount of feet away to pick up.
Yeah, I think we like to keep it within 10 feet, I think.
Yeah, it was, but that's what was wrong with mine, why I wouldn't connect, because it was too far away.
Yeah, it has to be within 10 feet for it to work. So now that it's loaded, now you can see the logos that I use. If now it's making more sense, look at that's my Instagram logo, right? Now you can see the logos that are being placed and where it places the actual file. So you can see that, right? So now we're here. This is the main screen, right? You see the controls, the buttons behind there, the text behind there. So you'll see this top left-hand corner. This is what I call the hamburger settings button. You're going to click on that, and you're going to go into settings on the very top. Once you go into settings, by default, the app always installs it at medium quality first, compression. You're going to want to move this over to ultra high quality. That's the best optimal quality for your phone. Once you're there, you're going to want to hit this arrow to the side to where you see camera, right? This is your camera settings. From your iPhone, you're going to pay attention to these two locations here. Your lens needs to be set at ultra wide. Toggle it over to ultra wide. And your slow-mo speed needs to be set at 1920 by 1080 at 120 frames per second, the very first option.
Is that always, no matter what?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you click it again so I can see the number? I'm sorry.
Sure.
Hey, can you back up 2 steps, please, for me?
So we're at 1920 by 1080, 120 frames per second. Okay, so she wanted me to back up. I'm going to go back. I'm going to hit again the menu button on the top, settings, hit the right arrow till I hit camera. From camera, let me see here. From camera, you're going to have your settings here. You're going to hit lens, ultra wide. Then you're going to hit slow-mo speed, 1920 by 1080 at 120 frames per second.
Hey, DJ, quick question. Now, before, because this is now is a little different before, right? Because at first you had to change the setting to, was it auto face or one of those options?
No, it's still here. It's right here. It's selected, auto face exposure.
Right, so I'm saying, that's what I mean, because this is different. Now, we used to have to put it on that. So, right, with this here, we don't have to change anything but the lens and the slow-mo speed?
Correct, correct.
Gotcha.
And this is the area too for GoPro users. If you're using a GoPro 6 or 7, you need to enable this here and follow that YouTube link that I posted in the chat. If you're using a GoPro 8, 9, or 10, this needs to be disabled, and you can connect to your GoPro from here. Connect GoPro. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is go back.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure. I understood. So it's supposed to stay on auto face exposure or auto exposure?
It's gonna stay in auto face exposure. You can mess with
Okay.
either or, whatever works best for you. You can play with both settings. I leave it as default.
Okay.
So now I'm gonna go back into my settings because a lot of you had questions with regards to the video effects, right? I'm gonna go into toggle to the right. This is your video effects. A lot of people ask what effects I use in those specific clips that I used. I keep it real simple. I don't like a lot of different effects. I think it degrades the video. I think your main goal should be to provide a clean output video. If you try to hide it with different effects, then it kind of looks a little gimmicky. That's my opinion. Again, you guys can do whatever works for you. The effects that I like to use for this specific, for mine, I think at the time I was using, I think it was called Snapshot. So they should be in alphabetical order. Here it is. Snapshot is right here. If I click Snapshot, you see it drop down to the middle gray box, right? From the middle gray box, I'm going to click on Snapshot one more time. And then you see a timeline open up, right? So this is allowing me, it's telling me that I have options of where I want to place that effect. If I move it to the left, I want to apply snapshot at 0.2 seconds. And if I get the right circle, I want to tell the software that I only want the snapshot to be placed between 0.2 seconds to 0.4 seconds. It's going to apply the snapshot only in that segment of the video. People were also asking, can you control the slow-mo speed, right? Well, this also has the ability here where it says slow-mo timing. You could actually, if I click slow-mo timing, it pops up in the middle box here. I'm going to click slow-mo timing again. And again, you have the timeline. You tell it where you want it to apply the slow-mo. Do I want the slow-mo in the middle? Do I want the slow-mo in the beginning? Or do I want the slow-mo towards the end? This is where you kind of mimic that, right?
How do you take that off of there if you ever want to play with it?
So when you want to take it off, you're going to click again on slow-mo timing. And then you have this delete option right here and click delete.
Okay, same with snapshot.
Same with snapshot.
What about the overlay black? What is that for?
Yeah, so I'll show you what that overlay black is. I'll actually do one now. But before I do that, before I add overlay black, I want to show you that this here is where you add your promotional videos, right? If you have a promotional video that you made for your business that you want to merge it with your content, it needs to be an MP4 file or an MOV, right? What I would recommend is whoever designs your overlay or whatever overlay that you're using. In this case, I'm using overlay 2. Make sure that whoever designs your promotional video designs it with the same pixel requirements as overlay 2, which is 1072 by 1072 pixels. They have to be the same size.
Where
So
will we find
it
that?
needs to be on your phone?
Yeah, the overlay video is something that you have to actually physically have on your phone. So the sizes, I went over the sizes earlier. The sizes are under the templates, under custom overlay. You hover over the question mark and you'll see the template sizes there. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and tap on post roll video. And in my case, I store most of my files. You can do it wherever you want. I store most of my files here. I'm looking for a specific file name. I think I call it rows or something like that. Let me see.
So is this the portion where you said has to match
Here it is.
in your design and on the phone?
Correct. It has
Okay.
to match your template.
Your template that's on the design.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
got it.
I just loaded my outro video, right? Now I'm going to show you what the gentleman was talking about. I think these are pretty cool effects. Again, let me just.
Okay, so that video you showed us earlier that I think you said Mike did for you, that was not because of you adding the effects here. It's because he did something in that.
What video are you talking about?
When you showed us like earlier, I think it was like a Sweet 16 or something like that.
No, those effects it was a snapshot effect. Those are the snapshot effects.
Okay.
Yeah. So now I'm going to look for that overlay black, I believe that the gentleman was asking about, right? So those glitter effects that we sell on TouchPix, I'm going to load one of those now, right? And I'm going to use this effect here called overlay black, right? This overlay black I'm going to click on it. I'm going to click on it down here. Now it's telling me what effect I want to use. And I want to use the confetti, right? That overlay black is actually an MP4 video designed specifically for TouchPix. So I'm going to click choose file. I'm going to go into files. And again, I'm going to look for my confetti folder. I have everything on my phone. My confetti folder is right there. So now my confettis are broken down by template size. And I'm going to look for a template 2 confetti. So I'm going to go with this one right here, template 2, right here, confetti 2. That's telling me it's template 2. I'm going to select it. And it's telling me that to make sure that the chosen file is longer than the recorded media. I hit I understand. And now I have my effects. I have a snapshot, I have an overlay black, and I have my audio file. And I'm about to show you guys what it looks like.
So DJ, before you actually get into that, I have one question on that, on the overlay black there.
Sure.
So basically, when it popped up and say, make sure that that is the same length or longer than your video. So if it's not, just say if you got some type of confetti that you throwing in there, and it's only say maybe 10 seconds, will that shorten your video?
Correct. Well, the way the overlay black is, the one that you buy from TouchPix, they're already pre-formatted. So it means that if you are using an overlay black that somebody designed for you, I would recommend that you tell that person to at least run that effect for at least 30 seconds, right? If that overlay that they designed for you all of a sudden is only 5 seconds long and you're using that overlay black effect, that means that your video is going to be cut short. It's only going to be 5 seconds. So that controls the length of your video, that specific feature.
Yeah, I was designing my own. And the other question is too, is like, is I'm using confetti, and so it's dropping the whole time. So it don't give me that option, just like you did with the slow-mo, where I could say, okay, I just want this confetti to fall like right here in the middle, then I just want it to stop. You follow what I'm saying there?
Yeah, so it depends on how you design it. So if you design it to stop it a certain way, that's how it's going to portray. But if you design it to keep falling, then that's what it's going to show. It's really dependent on the designer.
So that's why that's the reason I asked the question on the length of it, how long I make it, because I have no control on it. If it's 30 seconds long, then it's just falling the whole time, unless I just make it 30-second long and just have it in the video for like 5 seconds, I guess.
So no, not necessarily. I think you're confusing a couple of different things. If it's 30 seconds long, that doesn't mean you have to design it dropping for 30 seconds. You can actually design the confetti to drop for the first 5 seconds and just keep the rest of the video keep going without the confetti dropping, and you'll see the entire effect.
Right, that's what I was saying. So if I create a video with a confetti in it, even though I need to make it 30 seconds long, but in the video, I may only have 5 seconds of that video dropping confetti down.
Correct.
That makes sense, right?
That makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead.
What type of file did you say the overlay black has to be? Did you say MP3?
It's an MP4 file, so it's a video.
MP4.
Correct.
Thank you.
It's a video file. So
Thank you.
I want you guys to see something real quick, and I'm going to see if I can. I'm going to start something real quick. So I'll take a couple questions while I get this ready too, because I'm actually going to do the screen mirror right now.
I have one on that post roll there. Obviously, I know how to do the post roll. My thing is, what software do I can get to use to reduce that image down to 1072, 1072? Because obviously I'm dealing with a video and not a picture, obviously. So it makes it for me difficult, to reduce the pixels in a video versus a JPEG.
Yeah, there's a lot of software out there. The one that I would recommend is the only one that I'm familiar with using, and that is Adobe Premiere or Adobe After Effects.
So you can punch in videos in that and reduce the pixels in there.
In Adobe Premiere, you're able to do that, correct?
Oh, okay, thank you.
Let me see, I'm almost there.
DJ, if I'm practicing with mine, right, and for TouchPix, I created my account under my business email, right? And I want to try and use it with my personal phone. Like, cause what I was noticing, like when you were looking at it, I mean, doing the screen mirror right now, that like even when I look at my phone, I can't activate, I mean, I can't restore purchases, right? Because these are two separate emails.
Run that by me one more time. I didn't quite catch.
I'm sorry. So yeah, what I was saying is that like, so on my TouchPix account, right, that I created on the browser, it's with my company's email, right? And then I want to, like, I have my booth set up right now and I want to like practice it. So but I'm going to use my personal phone, which is obviously linked to my personal Apple ID. Will I still be able to use it, like, do create a template event and scan the QR code and do a run through?
You can do a run through with the test, correct? You don't have to have an active event.
Okay, so but okay, and that's just for test. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely. So I'm gonna run through a session real quick, but before I move on, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys live what it looks like, and I'm gonna show you guys how to mirror on Apple TV. And then we'll go from there. Give me a sec here. It's asking me to confirm.
DJ, I tried to do one and I did a custom, well, I customized my own overlay, and I got a white screen for like 5 seconds, and then it turned into it had the little, all my designs on it, but it had a white screen instead of having like, my background or whatever. How do I take that off,
Yeah,
or do I have to redo everything?
I would have to see, the original design. There could be a number of things. Like I said, I only use Adobe After Effects or Premiere. I'm not sure what you're using, so it could be a bunch of
I just
different
used the
things.
design that they had in TouchPix.
Yeah. What do you mean by that? Like what design that we have in TouchPix? I'm not.
The design of the designer. That's what I used. But instead of having like a transparent background, it went white. But anyway, I want to restart it. Do I have to duplicate it again and redo it, or can I go back in there?
No, you can go back in there and erase what you've loaded. But if you're using a design from the designer, I could already tell you that if you use like any of those photo booth designs, yeah, that's not going to work. You need to actually create something from scratch using a PNG file. What you're using is files that are not PNG that are meant for the photo booth side, that's why it's covered in white.
Yeah. Only thing that I did differently was put that snapshot on that, and I think maybe that was the snapshot, all white. Is that what the snapshot is?
No, snapshot just kind of creates a mimic of what, taking segmented shots from like a photo camera. But we can touch base offline on that and see what went wrong there. So what I wanted to show people is I have my Apple ID connected there, right? This is the TV that I'm using. This is TouchPix loaded, the event that I loaded. So what I'm going to do now is I want to screen mirror to my Apple TV, right? The way I do that is from the top right-hand corner of the iPhone, I'm going to go ahead and drag it to the middle bottom. You see what's called the control panel. It has 2 squares, which means screen mirror. You see my Apple TV pop up here on the list. I'm going to select that. Well, it's telling me it's unable to connect. Give me a second. It's going to ask me to connect, and I think it's because I have my my screen mirror app on. Give me a sec here. Let me close it down. Give me a sec. See here.
Hey DJ, quick question. Are you able to choose between 2 overlays when you're doing a slow-mo session?
What do you mean? Give me a scenario.
So for example, say you have two designs, a square and a landscape, or say you have two landscapes, but the design is different. Are you able to have the guest choose the design they want on their video, or does it need to be changed within the design?
Yeah, no, so it's not that easy. The photo booth, that happens at a flick of a switch. With video booths, it's a little more complex than that. So one design you can do, you can interchange per event. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. It'll cause a little bit of chaos through your workflow unless you really feel competent enough to do it. Then you can actually do it within 30 seconds. But as a beginner, and the way I'm teaching this class, I'm not going to recommend that be done initially. Again, if you get more proficient with it, then yeah, by all means. So I wanted to show you guys what this does again. I'm going to go ahead and from the top right hand corner, bring it to the middle, brings up the control panel. I'm going to go ahead and hit 360, right? And look what my screen turns into. My screen now turns into basically a TouchPix screen, right? And I'm going to show you the effects here. So this is my phone. And as soon as I press record, look what it's going to do, right? I'm going to press record with my button. There it is. Now I see live view on my big screen. Now it's telling me to look at the TV. Now you see the countdown on the screen, and now it starts recording, right? I'm just moving my phone around with my hand and recording. Here we go. So now the TV's prompting people. So this is kind of the more of the eye-catching wow factor of what you need to do. And it's telling you that it's adding slow motion. It's gonna apply the filters. It's gonna apply the animated overlay, or I'm sorry, the overlay, but it's also going to apply those glitter effects and that snapshot, the snapshot effect. And once it's done applying, it's going to go ahead and play it back. The animated overlays or those glitter effects does give it a few more seconds of processing because that is a pretty demanding file. But it should only add maybe 5 seconds tops towards the end. It's adding the outro. I think the last thing it adds is the audio, and then it plays it back. So it's going to play it back now. And there it is. It's doing the playback of my recording. There's the snapshot effect. There's the glitter effect, right?
That white thing, is that a snapshot?
Yeah, correct. That's a snapshot. It mimics the flash. And there's your confetti. Yeah, and there's that's my outro video. So what makes this pretty cool is I'm going to let you guys download it from home for people that are watching. You guys will actually see the QR code pop up on my screen. This is all the animations that TouchPix provides. Again, you can see how it works with the Apple TV. It just enhances any event. You can imagine if you have this as a centerpiece of attention, it creates a lot of attention for people to kind of gather around your 360. But it's a cool feature. I mean, you can definitely keep on doing this as you go. That 360 video should pop up soon.
Hey DJ,
go ahead.
Has the screen, have y'all solved the issue? I ain't said the issue, but concerned about the screen not being as big as a TV, like you got a 40-inch TV?
That's on the to-do list. You know, we're working on that for all templates. I think right now the only template that comes out pretty close to full screen is template 4. But these are all different aspect ratios, but we're working on that. So people at home, if you guys want to scan that QR code, you guys have the ability to scan that QR code and you can actually download the video onto your phone, right? So you'll be able to do that and see what it looks like once it gets delivered.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no problem. So that's how you do that. I'm probably just going to cover the sharing station briefly. It's been trying to keep my webinars, like I said, very informative, but also I'm being very conscious of your time and hopefully.
Before you do that, are you able to show us how to so when we have the phone on there, we want to see people already on the phone?
Yeah. I'll do that right now, but let me do the sharing station since I have it set up real quick. So
can I ask you a question before you do the sharing station?
Go ahead.
So I just want to make sure I got this right. So I set the TouchPix up under my business, and my iPhone is a different email address, but it's tied to my iPad, I need to change them both in order for it to work together, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Have them on one account. So I'm going to just show you what TouchPix is about with the sharing station, right? So I'm going to see if it's going to work because I do have two separate events here. This event is separate from this one, but the principles are the same. What you want to do with your iPad, the iPad should always, you should follow the following procedure. Go into the general settings. From general settings, you're going to want to go into, what is it? First, go into AirDrop. From AirDrop, make sure AirDrop is set to everyone and not just contacts, right? After that, you're going to want to toggle down to display and brightness. From display and brightness, you're going to toggle down on the right-hand side to where it says auto lock. Go into auto lock and set it to never. This prevents the iPad from not going into screensaver mode, okay? So once you have that, those two sections done, you can open up TouchPix, right? And TouchPix on your iPad and TouchPix on your iPhone. You're always going to start with TouchPix on your iPad, right? You're going to go into the gallery. In this case, I have some old videos. I'm going to see if it works with different events. So TouchPix on your iPad, you're going to hit gallery. You're going to see an S on the top left-hand corner, right? You're going to tap on the S and hit activate receiver, right? Now you're going to always go to your iPhone or your video capture device second. Now on your video capture device, you're going to hit gallery, tap on the S, right? And then you're going to go activate sender. And it sees my iPad because it's calling to iPad 10. I'm going to go ahead and select it. And it says success, it's successfully connected. So now I'm going to press OK. Exit out of my phone. My phone goes back to its name screen. And now I'm going to look for that video to pop in here, the one that I just did now, right? You'll be able to distinguish it because it has a different overlay than the ones that are there from previous. So let's see if that comes up. So that, and there it is. It's actually here. I'm going to go ahead and select it, right?
And DJ, so what's the beginning again? You said go to our settings and then general.
Yeah, settings general, AirDrop is on, and then
Right.
auto lock to never.
Thank you.
Hey, DJ, now, when I set my sharing station up with my iPad, just like you did, and I have no problem with the videos transferring over to the iPad from my iPhone, but I don't have the option, it's not enabled for me to share. Like yours enabled right now, I'm looking at it now, it's enabled. When on my iPad, it's not enabled. I'm not able to text, email through while it's in the app. I'd have to come out of the app and like go to my photos and then send them that video that way from my iPad.
Are you holding your iPad? How are you holding your iPad? Or let me ask you this: your iPhone, you're controlling iPhone, right?
Yes.
On your controlling iPhone, are you able to share? If you go into the gallery, like so, I'm going to my iPhone right now, and I go into the gallery there, and I see that thumbnail. Are you able to share from your iPhone?
Yes.
And you just do not see it on your iPad.
Yeah, it's on my iPad, but it's not enabled. I can't use the buttons. All the buttons are there. I can't use the buttons.
So that's telling me that on the web browser, you either timed them off incorrectly, right? Meaning that sharing timer, you probably have it set at I don't know, maybe you did it at 1 or 2. Make sure that all the sharing options are there, or it's telling me another thing. Your iPhone and your iPad are probably on mismatched iOS, right? That's probably one of the key things that I should have covered. Make sure, follow these following steps. Make sure that both your devices are operating under the same iOS. The way to check that is go over to settings, right? If you go over to settings and you go over to, I believe it's general, and you go to about, it's telling me that my iPad right now is at 15.0.1. A lot of people are notorious for not updating their iPad, but their iPhone's on the most recent version. Make sure that this number here matches the number that you're using on your iPhone. That will alleviate a lot of headaches, right? Make sure both your iPhone and your iPad are up to date on the latest iOS.
Because
Couldn't that be problematic though? Like say for instance, for someone, I'm sorry.
Can I finish, please? Thank you. What I'm gonna say, yeah, because I have the actual the new iPad and the new iPhone. I got the iPhone 12 and the new iPad. So that's why I didn't.
Yeah, but just because you have new devices doesn't necessarily mean that they're updated, right?
Okay.
You have to make sure that you update them consistently.
Okay.
All right. DJ, what I was going to say on that part there when you was talking about both of them being on the same update. So what if you got an iPad? Obviously, I have several iPads, which I can install the TouchPix on, which works fine on it. But if it's a few years old, then you can only update with Apple OS to a certain update though.
Correct. And TouchPix will not work. We're not guaranteeing, even though it works with some, we're not guaranteeing TouchPix is compatible with anything under iOS 14 at this moment. We have a lot of users using iPad Airs that are 5, 6 years old. Wow. You gotta understand, 5, 6-year-old iPads, that's a long time ago, technology-wise.
I totally understand. And obviously there, I know some apps won't even load on some of those devices if it's not compatible.
Yeah.
Too. So, that would be problematic.
And it causes problems. And if you're in a business where you're generating income, we want you to be prepared as best as possible. We're finding that a lot of people are out there are using iPad 2s that don't generate past like iOS 12, right? We just can't support that because our software is designed to work a certain way. But if the equipment hinders the software, there's only so much we can do.
Right, I understand. I totally understand. Are you guys able to put like something in your software though that it won't even download?
Yeah, and they're working on that now because a lot of these bugs are just freshly out. We didn't know that people were out there using devices that old. Typically, I mean, because I have old iPads as well, and the TouchPix is not even on the App Store for that. So it just, we're quickly trying to put these parameters in place. But I wanted to show you what the sharing was looking like. And you know what? And I'm sorry, I forgot that question. There was a question that somebody wanted me to answer right before I went into the sharing station, and I forgot what that question was. If you can repeat it.
It was about showing the phone showing the position where people are. Like,
oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, that's easy enough. So I'm going to go back to my phone here, right? Go back to my phone. So say you have your phone mounted on the mount like this, right? And say, for example, he's explaining that your phone is mounted on the 360, and instead of having to hit like record to angle the phone exactly where it needs to be, I'm going to hit cancel. You want to be able to see the live view, right? That way you're not hitting record and then going back. So if you hit the hamburger button up here, the settings button, and you go into the settings, let me do this. Sorry, I have one hand real quick. If you go into this general settings, you see that very first.
When I hit settings, it's asking for to put the barcode back in.
Yeah, you might be on the test mode, maybe.
You may have one of those devices we was talking about.
No, he's probably on test mode. So if you hit settings and you're able to access, you see this first option that says live view BG. I'm going to go ahead and enable that, and then I'm going to hit go back. That's all it is. So now, let me see here.
You said hit settings and go to where?
Live view BG. And you enable that. So see now my logo disappears and I have an actual live view before I hit record. That's all it is. It's just one setting.
It stays there, or you got to do it every time?
No, it stays there.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
So now you don't have to like play around with like, are you in frame? Are you not in frame? You just have a complete live view. So yeah, that's what I wanted to record today. I know I went a little bit over in time because I do want to keep these a little more consistent. I think we covered a lot, even though it did take quite a while. And, you know, next session, I want to concentrate more on either the GoPro or the sharing station with a little bit more detail, because there is a little bit of differences. But I hope this webinar was a little informational for a lot of you guys that are starting out.
One thing I want to know for is the sharing part of the share station. So say for instance, I'm going into an environment, I got bad cell connection, I can't get no internet or nothing like that. I know this before I get there. So before I leave my house, I activate the event on my sharing iPad and my phone that I'm using for capturing video. So once I get into that environment there, I do know you guys got what you call scan pick, where you can put a router inside that environment. But just say, for instance, everybody in there got iPhones, and I don't have a router, but everybody got iPhones. Can those devices communicate with each other just by airdropping?
Correct. If everybody has iPhones, you can communicate without internet by airdrop only.
So everything can just, you can just airdrop everybody in that environment.
Correct. So I'll be covering that next time as well. Not only airdrop, but I'll be covering what you guys are looking at here. This is ScanPix. This is what he was talking about. Within the app, we have a built-in version of sharing without the internet, basically, without an active internet connection. You do need a router. That's all you need to purchase. It's an $80 router, and it works with our software. It's TP Link, TP Tom Paul Link, Link. The model number is A as an apple, X as an X-ray, 3000. It's $80 on B&H photo and video. That router is the only thing that you need extra. It's $80. It works with our software. People will be able to scan into your router and then scan into the gallery to access your photo without internet connection. I'm not going to go into detail right now on how that's worked, but I will show you just real quick a snapshot of what that's going to look like in the settings, right? You toggle to the right. We have an area that's called web server, I'm sorry. And this is where you actually put in all your contact. You put the router name, you put the router password, and you're off and running. So it's a very creative way. We're the first app that allows for something like this on iOS. This is a great breakthrough. It's absolutely free for all the TouchPix subscribers, not costing you a penny. You just have to buy the router. That's $80. That's all.
You said it's a TP link. What?
Yeah, can you type in the router?
Sure, it's TP Link. I'm going to type it in. TP Link AX 3000.
So DJ, if someone had that router now, would they be able to use ScanPix right now?
Absolutely.
And you said you're gonna go over that next
next Wednesday.
Okay.
We'll go over that with greater detail. I'm going to do a ScanPix session. This is the iPhone session. I showed you the mirroring session. Actually, we covered a lot today. We even did the sharing station. So I'm just trying to condense these, but you know, definitely don't want to keep you. I value your time, but I value you also taking the time to learn this the right way. And, you know, if we can be of any help, myself, DJ1 on the Facebook group, Charles goes by Jessica Boone because he uses his wife's account. Any of the moderators, feel free to drop us a DM, you know, shoot us a message if you need help. We're here to help you guys succeed and make that money. This is the industry that's rapidly growing. There's room for you know, for advancement in this industry, and you guys should be making a lot of money in this industry, and make it now while you can. You know, every state's reopening or reopened to a certain extent, and people are just ready to have fun, right? And this is a fun way to make easy money. You're not spending money on media, on printer paper, on any of that stuff, and it's great for, you know, to see businesses thrive in this type of entertainment field.
DJ, one question for you.
Yeah.
Serato DJ or virtual DJ?
Serato.
Okay, my man.
Serato, man. All right, man.
You did ScanPix 2 weeks ago, DJ. If they want to look at it on YouTube.
Yeah, I think I might have. You know,
presentation.
I think I might have. Yeah, correct. So yeah, follow it on YouTube. But I'm gonna break it down into a simpler setting, just concentrating on this. I know before, like I said, I cover a lot, and sometimes people just kind of like I understand it's like a classroom. People sometimes tune out because I'm covering so much information. And
Yeah,
I just want to
coming
make
every
sure,
week.
I just want to make sure, I want to make sure I capture the elements that need to be captured in a timely manner.
I know that you said that earlier you were going to share some of your lighting. Someone else had asked you that question. Is that still an option where you'll be able to share it?
Yeah, so I'll do this. Let me see if I can do this real quick. Screen share.
Hey,
I'm
DJ,
gonna-
one really quick question regarding Scampix. Sorry about that. Just want to know, the router that you gave us, is that the only router that works for Scampix?
No, that's, I mean, any routers works, to be honest with you, but that is the easiest one for us to support because it's easy, very user-friendly.
Got you.
And plus it has the new Wi-Fi 6 protocol, so it's extremely fast, right? Because it's you know, you're meeting today's standards with Wi-Fi speeds. So I buy a lot of my lights here. B&H Photo and Video. Look for tube lights if that's what you guys are interested in. And mine are expensive. These are the lights that I'm using. I don't expect everybody to buy them, but that's what I'm using. Battery operated lights, tube lights, extremely clear, meant for videography. But browse through this website, you will find a resource of professional equipment that is
Okay.
not on Amazon, you know.
So the ring light that you, so I have a manual. So
Okay.
I have like, it's like a square one that's very common in the Facebook chat.
Mhm.
But when I had issues last week with the place, I went to a gym and all of my videos were coming out very yellow.
Okay.
So somebody suggested that I need a better ring
Ring,
light
correct.
around the phone, but I don't know any other options because most of the ones that's
So
in there.
Google this. I'm going to give you an option to one for everybody in this group. It's a small ring light. It's battery operated. Make sure you buy those batteries on Amazon. But the model, the name of this ring light is called Pro Master. So Pro Master. And then Google 10-inch ring light. It's actually called a 10-inch bicolor ring light. It's a very good ring light. It's probably about 120 bucks and you will get awesome results with it.
Okay, you said Pro Master 10-inch ring light?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. All right, guys, I'm going to have to jump off this call. I hope to see you guys next week. I'm hoping that my YouTube webinars continue to be beneficial for you and your business. I appreciate you guys spending the night here and just gaining some knowledge. And I'm always here to help. Feel free to reach out.
Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
take care.
Have a great night.
All right, thanks.
Take care.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, guys.